Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our panel, No Sustainability Without Women. My name is Selva Şahin, Professor of International Relations at Boğaziçi University, Istanbul. Let me introduce our distinguished panelists. First, we have Madam Zehra Zümrüt Selçuk. She is the Director General of CESTRIC. We have Madam Ivana Živković. She is the Assistant Administrator to UN and the Country Director for Europe and the Commonwealth of Independent States. And we have Mekfula Agat, Madam Agat from Mauritania. She is the advisor to the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania. Today we will be addressing an important issue, an important development objective, creating equal relations between men and women, which is both an end in itself and also a catalyst for attaining all other 16 sustainable development goals. We will be addressing why creating equal relations between men and women is both an important development objective, sustainable development objective, and also a cross-cutting theme for other development objectives, including eradicating poverty, including eradicating hunger, including creating decent work conditions for all. Let us start with Madam Agat, with you. And how do you see women's role in development processes in the context of your own country, in the context of Africa, in the context of the global landscape? Why do you think women's role, women's involvement is essential? There can be no sustainable development without women. Why is that? Would you like to start?
اسمحوا لي أن أتكلم باللغة العربية لأنني أحس فقط بأنني أستطيع أن أوصل.
Actually, I can better express myself in Arabic, so I have more flexibility. That's why I want to talk in Arabic. We say no sustainability without women, because this has been the subject of many research and many studies. And this is a topic for all times. Women comprise 50% of each and every population. So when it comes to development, we have to talk about women. If we do not take into consideration women's ideas and opinions, we cannot come up with proper solutions. So in the case of Mauritania, you may not have seen any women from Mauritania before, but we are very active. I mean, you may not point out where Mauritania is on the world map, but we respect women greatly in Mauritania. We love women. We take them into consideration. They have a very highly respected position. Of course, we have some issues, inequality in opportunities, early marriage, unfortunately. And also, when it comes to decision-making mechanisms, women may have less opportunities to take part in them, unfortunately. Should I repeat myself? I believe some people are not able to set their headphones right. Their headsets for interpreting.
Sorry about that.
No problem. No problem.
But they should be able to fix it quickly. Maybe,
sorry about that. So
while they are trying to fix the problem, maybe we can continue with you, and then we will come back to the points that you have made. Ms. Selçuk, how do you see the importance of the empowerment of women? Why do you think how do you think the empowerment of women, meaning the creation of opportunities that women were deprived of before, can contribute to development at the national and the global levels?
Thank you very much. First of all, we can say that the empowerment of women and full enjoyment of their human rights is by all women and girls are their universal right. Because in all of our member countries and all over the world, the women constitute half of the population. So this is the reason that there will be no sustainability without women. And according to the Sustainable Development Goals, these empowerment issues are also set out in SDG 5 of the Sustainable Development Goals. And also in terms of our institution, International Organization of Islamic Cooperation, we have specific program of action of Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and some of our priority goals and targets related to the advancement of women in all spheres of life. And so empowerment of women is not just the right thing to do, actually. It is the smartest thing for the future of our societies if we have the target of leaving no one behind in all of our societies. So if we are truly committed to the sustainable development, women must be centered at all of our national, local, and also international strategies. And so to really integrate the women's empowerment into our strategies, it must be ingrained from the first beginning of the strategy setting. This means that we should have an economic, social, and environmental policy. All of these policies need a lens from the perspective of the woman. And because we know that constituting half of the population, equality and justice among the society drive progress economically and also socially and also environmentally. As your question asks about three aspects, let me summarize it in three parts, like economic-wise, social-wise, and also environmental, from the perspective of environment. First, let's talk about the economic sustainability. We know that all of the research constantly estimates that when women are economically empowered, families do better. We have less poverty, and also economies prosper. But we still see in all of the academic research, we still see there are pay gaps, wage differences among the women and men. According to the latest report of World Economic Forum, highlights that women can earn only about 40% of the men. So this means that we have a strict wage difference, pay gap difference between women and men. Besides these pay gaps, women-owned businesses also lack necessary funding, which prevents their leadership role in the future. And also we have to have action and concrete steps towards empowering women in all of the societies. And for this one, we give special importance for investing in digital skills, because we know that the future of work is digitalization. And so investing in digital skills is especially important for the advancement of women in the future of work. For the social dimension, unpaid care work is undervalued in most of the societies. And unpaid care work is estimated to be as much as 99% of the GDPs. And for this 9%, 6.6% of this is contributed by women, while the contribution of men is about 2.4. And when we compare this in terms of the hours work, women generally paid their time, spent their time 2.8 more hours on unpaid care work than the men. So this means that the national policies and all of the global strategies should include social dimension, especially in terms of child care support, paid parental leaves, and also social protection systems that recognize the importance of care work, because care economy will be the future of our societies, as most of the societies are getting older and older, and most of the labor force participation rates of women are increasing. So we need more a care worker for the children and also for the elderly and also for the disabled people. So like for empowering women and advancement of their situation, we need to promote also the care economy in all of our member countries. And in our we have 57 member countries. And in the last 2 decades, most of our member countries make a substantial progress throughout the years. In most of our countries integrated women-friendly policies in their national plans, like about Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, and also Turkey, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. Most of our member countries integrated into their national plans the women advancement and also women-friendly policies. And accordingly, we can see that, for example, in 35 of our member countries, the women have paid maternity leaves above the threshold, 14 weeks threshold of ILO. And most of the countries begin to give paid paternity leaves as well. So there is a substantial progress, but of course we are not at the ideal level that we are targeting for. Additionally, we believe that from the perspective of social dimension, education is especially important. And unfortunately, almost 120 million of girls are out of the school educational system in all over the world. And we know that ensuring that girls have quality education, leads to not only lower the poverty rates, but also we have better health outcomes, stronger economies. And according to the estimates, that limiting girls' education costs countries between $15 to $30 trillion for the lost lifetime property and earnings. So when we invest in education of girls, also we will invest for the education of our countries as well. So this unequal access to education and training also limits the empowerment of women in our future of societies. There are a lot of good examples from our member countries for the empowerment and advancement of women in their societies. What I can summarize is that there's a good hope. We have a lot of good examples, but we need to progress more effectively and more quickly if we want to achieve the sustainable development goals at the targeted years. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for raising many important points, among them the interconnections between women's empowerment in the household, how this is related to realizing their potential and contributing to national development, and by extension to global prosperity and global stability and peace. And the other point you raised is also important, the need for integrated approach, an integrated, holistic approach to sustainable development, because all these objectives are connected to each other, and women's involvement, meaningful participation, genuine participation in the making and implementation of the related policies is a must, is a necessity. Thank you very much for raising all these crucial, important points. Have we fixed the technical problem? Can we switch to the translation now? You're doing it. It's been handled, so we can continue with you, Madam Agat, when it comes to the implementation of women's involvement in sustainability.
نعم، أنا كما ذكرت لك، نعم تكلمت عن موضوع الاستدامة دون المرأة. أشكر منتدى أنطاليا الدبلوماسي على طرحه هذا الموضوع الهام. أنا قادمة من موريتانيا كما ذكرت.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here. I want to talk about my own country. Mauritania works together with Arab countries and African countries. It merges two cultures, basically. So in our country, we are faced with many challenges, and we have some cultural issues as well, and we have always worked towards the implementation of sustainable development goals and the inclusion of women in this achievement. But culturally, unfortunately, we have some obstacles, and we have some challenges before accessing decision-making mechanisms. For example, early marriage is a huge issue. For example, I became a mother when I was 14. I have 3 siblings, and almost all of them have 3 children. So when you are over 16, you're basically a spinster. And this is the sense that people are getting when you're not married and you are over 16. So when you're married at an early age, how are you supposed to educate yourself or work? That's why we have challenges culturally, and this creates a burden on our women. So this creates a bad example. When you set an example, when you are a university graduate, for example, you set a good example for other women, other people. It helps them, maybe encourages them to complete their education or training or to work. So for myself, I was one of the very few women who maintained her education. So this is a repeated issue in many societies, in many Arab countries, in underdeveloped countries, in African countries. Now, this is a cultural dimension, but unfortunately, when it comes to benefiting from it, we are lagging a bit behind. This is a huge burden on the shoulders of women. Another challenge about education is that we have unequal access to education. I hope what we can do is that make our voices heard.
We had a translator with us doing simultaneously on the stage. I've just received some help from our participants in the audience, which is great indeed. We have the technology, we have the AI to simultaneously translate. And thank you very much for raising the key barriers, like the cultural barriers that prevent women from realizing their potential in career development-wise. And thank you very much for raising one of the key development...
أريد أن أعيد أن نكمل الفكرة. أريد أن أكمل بعض الأفكار.
Thank you very much for raising...
So I was not able to complete my speech. It's not my issue, it's yours. And specifically, I want to be able to express myself freely. That's why I have told my colleagues that I will be speaking in Arabic. So when it comes to reaching development goals, I would like to talk about these challenges, especially when it comes to Africa. Women are distant from decision-making mechanism, and when it comes to education as well, the access to education is a huge issue, unfortunately. And women especially are faced with this challenge. There has to be interpretation. As far as I know, there is interpretation provided. Why can't you hear me? I'm not sure.
That's very helpful. And thank you very much for raising one of the key development challenges that we're facing. According to the UN statistics, 1 in 5 women marry before they turn 18. So child marriage is one of the problems that we thank you for raising this issue, which is one of the barriers to women's ability to fulfill their potential and to contribute to their society's development, national development, or the development of their national human capital. And thank you very much for other inequalities that African nations are facing. So we are facing inequalities at the individual level, at the national level, and also at the global levels. So thank you very much for raising those points. And I would like to continue with you, Madam Živković, when it comes to the ways in which women can be, women's participation in governance frameworks, policy frameworks can be more effectively achieved, particularly considering the fact that this year we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and the Platform for Action. What would be, how would you like to proceed with that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's great to be a part of this panel, and women's issues are at the heart of what we do at UNDP, and including in 170 countries that we work in. And you mentioned the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and also Platform for Action, which is the most comprehensive and visionary agenda for realizing women's rights and also building more just and equal world. Despite the progress that we have been celebrating this year, the progress remains uneven and quite fragile. Worldwide, women still have only 2/3 of legal rights as men. And also the stark poverty gap at the current pace will take 137 years to close among the poverty among women, extreme poverty among women. So these inequalities undermine not only the rights of women and girls, but also resilience of societies and credibility of institutions, our collective capacity to manage these crises that arise. So to put simply, we cannot expect to develop lasting solutions to modern challenges, from armed conflict to economic inequalities, but also to climate change, without a fair representation of women in public life. And here we address this issue, working with many governments, many societies, to have a higher involvement of women in public administration, also to advocate for bringing diverse perspectives to peace and security architecture. Of course, that without women's participation will not be nearly as successful. And finally, we would like to tackle structural inequalities that fuel instability. So we have some very good examples of our work in different societies. And for example, at the level of parliaments, we have contributed to setting up a Central Asia Women Leaders Caucus, advocating for higher participation of women in leadership, but also enhancing their role in peace and stability. Further on, we build groups in different communities where we advocate for rights of women, minorities, youth, and those successfully meet and empower themselves to be the voices of change. In some of the societies, we work at different levels, somewhere with the rural communities. For example, I just visited a mahala in Uzbekistan, where we work together with the Islamic Development Bank. And within these mahalas, they also have a strong role of women's leadership in different agendas that are appropriate for the life of those communities. So we tackle these issues at the grassroots levels, but also at a very high legislative levels, and happy to work with all the partners that are willing to contribute to this important work.
That's great. Can we continue with you regarding the specific frameworks or initiatives that you think have been most successful, that you have observed have been more successful in terms of improving or contributing to women's access to quality education, as you have rightly pointed out, their employment or their leadership roles and decision-making processes. Would you like to share your views on the most effective strategic approach, which could be integrated, holistic, or any other approach do you think are most helpful when it comes to contributing to women's ability to fulfill their full potential?
Thank you very much. First of all, as we mentioned that there are a lot of global national strategies for the advancement of women. And also, as we know, there are a lot of international pledges for the empowerment of women. But what is more important than all of these policy frameworks, strategies, and all of these pledges, the important thing is the implementation. Because we always say the planning is good, but what is harder to achieve is actually realizing it. So it is very easy to say than to implement it. But when it comes to the implementation phase, we observe that actually as we have different cultures all over the world and different development progress from our member countries, for the UN, for the OIC, actually there is no one-size-fits-all quick solution for the development issues, socioeconomic development issues of women. So for this reason, we cannot, how can I say, we cannot find a quick solution for all of the challenges and barriers that women are facing. But what we can do is that to have a strategy or to have a roadmap for the success of the implementation plans. So what can we easily summarize which strategies can be implemented more effectively or more sustainably is that the solutions that integrate most of the society, inclusive plans, and also the plans with a holistic, more comprehensive approach. So rather than saying that this solution will be implemented this way, we should have a kind of frameworks for the success of our national and also international plans. For this reason, also we need to have some kind of cooperation and dialogue between the sector. So it is not just the important thing just to focus on economy, to focus on social, or to focus on education, health. These sustainability issues are multidimensional and also multi-sectoral. So there should be a constructive dialogue between the sectors, academia, private sector, public sector, international fora, and all of this dialogue will result in fruitful outcomes based on the specific cultural and institutional needs of each society. Even within each country, there can be some regional differences, and there is, as the UNDP and all of the international organizations know that. So we need to have a kind of positive approach, holistic, comprehensive, multi-sectoral approach for the success of our implementation strategies.
Thank you for, again, raising many important points. Integrated approach, multi-sectoral approach, because this is what we're talking about, is a multifaceted phenomenon, and the key, the participation of key stakeholders in this process is important. So we need more dialogue, perhaps more partnership between academia, like myself, who's doing the research and publishing on the subject, like gender-based inequalities, how gender-based inequalities overlap class-based inequalities. So we should have more dialogue, more contact with the policy planners, with the policy practitioners who are in the field. I would like to turn to Madam Agat if the translation services are running. So I need some confirmation about it. Is it working? No, not.
No.
It's not working. Is it working? No, it's not working. So we might need again, your assistance with the artificial intelligence while
أنا عندي ترجمة مو مشكلة. هي
because
فقط
the other important
هي
point
محتاجة ترجمة.
the
أنا ما
impor-
محتاجة
just
ترجمة.
a second. The important point
أنا
she
فقط
raised-
أريد أن أؤكد أنه الفجوة بين المرأة والرجل في العالم، الفجوة العالمية بين النساء والرجال هي 77% الفجوة.
First of all, we are talking about the inequalities of opportunities between men and women. And in terms of generating employment, we know that the percentage is 77. There is a huge gap when we check the figure 46. 47% of the women in the employment leaves their job after pregnancy. Can you hear us?
Let's do it because Madam Agat is talking about women's participation in the workforce, which is one of the key aspects of the empowerment of women. So channel 2 is working, what you're saying. Okay, fine. Let's do it. Okay, maybe we should...
اوكي، اذا انا عندما تحدثت عن التحديات الثقافيه التي تخص المجتمع الموريتاني اللي هو نموذج للمجتمعات العربيه.
So there are also cultural challenges. So we know that women faces those challenges. There is a huge gap between women and men.
طبعا يتطلب تعاون دولي.
Because we know that there is a huge gap between men and women. And as I've stated before,
تعمل تمكين للنساء في مجال، خصوصا في مجال المعونة في مجال الأمومة.
communities should strengthen women, and also, for example, there should be establishing kindergarten for children. And once again, this was stated by ILO. After the paternity leave, we know that most of the women leave their job, and of course this has to be tackled. All those women in the employment, they need to continue after the maternity leave. So they should be expressed. They should be considered. There are different successful accomplishments, so why not we have them in our countries? For example, in Northern Europe countries, we know that there are great opportunities provided to women. So you can see if a mother works, then there is a kindergarten available close to the office of the mother. And also in Rwanda, 61% of women can have access, can be in the parliament. And Rwanda, you know, 61% representation in the parliament. So we would like to increase that. For each country, there are unique problems, and there is also a general problem for women. They could be cultural ones, and for example, there could be something special for Mauritania and also for Africa, and this could not be seen in Europe when we are talking about the challenges faced by women. I was at the age of 13 when I got married, and we have been married for and of course they have to quit, you know, mothers, they had to quit their jobs, and sometimes the mother may be a student and she has to quit education. First of all, we need to present best practices all the time in order to leverage the place of women. Of course, we cannot exclude women. We need to reflect women in the society. In general sense, women is the half of the society. And of course, we need to include women in decision-making processes. They should also take a role in decision-making. And then all those problems can be solved.
Speaking of these barriers, all these problems, barriers, or the factors that prevent women from meaningfully, effectively, genuinely participating in the social, economic, or political life, how can international organizations help with addressing or transforming these barriers, like UNDP, like CESRIC? What type of role they can play? A role that will help us go beyond recognizing women's role in sustainable development or other issues like climate action, and strategic approaches that help us go beyond this mere recognition of women's role in sustainable development, in climate action, to incorporate women's leadership, women's knowledge, women's priorities, women's needs into the development policies and frameworks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A very important question. It is a few-fold, and my fellow panelists have already talked about the importance of care economy and addressing the child care and parental leave. And we work with the governments to introduce these reforms to enable women to go back to work after they have children or after their children start attending school and they have more free time. Here, of course, comes the care economy and the unfair burden that women take on them. But in addition to that, there is an issue with tax, where in some countries, the secondary earner of in the family pays the increased tax, and most often this is also women. So we work to develop a fair legislation with countries. And finally, we work on enabling policies that empower women to be able to access all the opportunities equally, and that is done with parliaments, as I have said before. Secondly, we work on building global partnerships, and we have this specific instrument, so to say. It's called the Gender Seal. All UNDP country offices go through this Gender Seal process to see how well we do, and then we award either bronze, silver, or gold, and all our colleagues take a lot of pride in performing well. And we also have introduced that Gender Seal for public institutions and have done it in a number of countries, in the different ministries, different institutions. So this is one of the platforms which we also build. Another interesting part of work that we do is empowering women and girls, and also in STEM areas. We have an interesting collaboration with UNICEF, where we have a network of 300 women supporting and mentoring young women to develop their careers. And one of these young colleagues that are part of this STEMinist network that we called has developed an early warning system, digital early warning system in Tajikistan, and which is actually a low-cost platform. So, you know, women have so much talent, and we really work on many levels to support it.
Absolutely. The last point you just raised is important, because raising or emphasizing the inequalities women and girls facing should not be seen in a way that considers women as just the mere victims of inequalities. We need to go beyond that. We need to recognize the capacities, the knowledge, the perspectives that women bring, and that contributes to the design and implementation of more effective policies in care work. And thank you very much for raising that point, which is often, which often goes unrecognized or receives little attention. So that's an important point that you have raised. Maybe you may want to a little bit elaborate on that issue in terms of like CESRIC's approach or other regional examples that you may want to raise in terms of the role of international organizations for global partnerships that can better address women's or contribute to women's meaningful participation.
Actually, as CESRIC, beyond the Sustainable Development Goals of UN, we also have, under the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, a program of action. And under this, we also have specific goals and targets for the advancement of women and the advancement of family welfare as well. And also regarding the, since we are also related to the cultural norms of Islam, also, I want to mention the Jeddah document on the rights of women in Islam. And it was adopted in the International Conference on Women in Islam in November 2023. And it's a very important document for getting over the misconceptions about the women in Islam and their rights. So for this one, we're also working together with eminent scholars so that we will have more sustainable development while we include the woman in all of our societies. And this OIC Program of Action has allocated its 30th priority area to the advancement of women, to empower women and their families, and to develop reliable social services. As I mentioned before, for the development of women, the social services is very integral. Because it is not easy to change the fairness about the care work. So we are the primary holders of the care work in all of the societies, and it is not very easy to change. But we can help and support the women while they are pursuing their career and development in other areas. So it's a kind of win-win approach for both the society and for the advancement of women in the societies. Other than that, I think, as you correctly mentioned, underlined it, we shouldn't look just from the perspective of being the victim of any conflict or any challenge. We are also have the advantage of being the first builders or first, for example, in terms of the crisis areas or when there is a kind of humanitarian aid areas. Actually, women are the first runners. So we shouldn't look from the pessimistic or negative perspective all the time. Actually, we have an inherent capacity that we can do multifunctional capacity also as a woman. Since we are here even, we are discussing the women issues only with women. So we should be like, we should include men. And also I want to underline that today is my 17th wedding anniversary. So I am discussing this issue.
Congratulations. Many happy returns.
Thank you. So I am lucky that I'm here. So what we can do is to support in terms of families, in terms of, sustainability is not an issue that I mentioned, it's a cross-cutting issue, and we need to create a conducive environment, woman-friendly environment, child-friendly environment, family-friendly environment, so that women can be a part of decision-making processes in all walks of life. It is not very possible to create to achieve the targets without creating these conducive environments. So it is the responsibility of both the national governments and national policies, but also it is our responsibility at international area to guide the policies towards having this more woman-friendly strategies and more friendly, woman-friendly, and I also say family-friendly environment.
Well, very important. Again, I couldn't agree more. As a person who has an 8-year-old boy, and my husband currently is looking after him so that I'm here. So I understand. I fully appreciate and sympathize with the importance of the creation of the family-friendly, children-friendly environments. We have tried to cover as much as we can the key aspects of sustainable development issues, and like our panelists have rightly pointed out, this is a process. This is a progress. We have come a long way when it comes to this situation, like 40 years ago, 100 years ago, when women were not recognized the right to vote. This is a process. It's an arduous process, and it will continue. We will keep pushing for the creation of the conducive, enabling the conditions or the environment for equal relations between men and women, between boys and girls. Thank you very much for your time and interest, and we hope that you have enjoyed our panel and enjoyed the rest of the day. Thank you.